Morning guys, Chris here. This is just a video from what we were talking about on the Facebook page last night. Just showing you guys the areas that I fish. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm no professional, but like I said, I've had people inboxing me, asking me areas to fish, what I use, and how to fish certain areas. So this is just what I do, not what you have to do, not what will work for you just because it works for me. I'm just going to show you what I do and how I first fish certain areas. So the first bank here, we've got just a bit of rock with a steep bank. The water's at 3.3 meters where the boat is sitting now. I'm sitting about 5 meters off the bank. So we've got a whole root ball system down in there where the tree has literally rotted away from corrosion. Either side of that, we've got willow banks. So willow banks are just willow trees coming into the water off the bank. This is just a little opening either side of the willow banks. This willow bank here on the left goes up for about 100 meters. And this one here is only a small one, which is about 20-30 meters long. So in this kind of area here, I'll have two setups. One, I'll have a Jackal TN60 if I'm chasing yellow belly, which this time of year I am. And the other one, I will have a spinnerbait or a small chatterbait stuck on. The thing with this is, guys, you've got to make sure that if you're 30 centimeters away from where the snag that you're trying to hit, a lot of the time you won't be next to the fish unless they're out actively hunting. They will usually be in their holes or in their willow bank. Yellow belly will sit so their nose out, looking out into the current. It's the same with cod as well. They'll both sit in the willow bank looking out into the current. So with this here, if I'm fishing divers or if I'm fishing the vibes, so these root balls out here with the steep banks, this is where I'll fish my divers or my TN60s and 70s. Make sure you get your lure right up into the bank, right up onto that. Literally you can see just where the dirt goes into the water or where the roots are going into the water, because those fish will be holding in that cover. If you want to fish willow banks, say you've got like this here scenario here, I've got a willow bank there, I've got a willow bank there. This is where your chatterbaits and your spinnerbaits will come into effect. You can also throw your vibes into it, but the current most of the time make it a little bit harder to jig. You can slow roll them back as well. But when you're fishing the willow banks, just let me go. We'll just go up here into a willow. It is a bit windy, guys, so I hope you can hear me. It's actually more than a bit windy. She's blowing a gale this morning, so we'll see how we go. So we're coming around into the willow banks now. So let's set a scenario out. I'm just going up the willow bank. So I've got a TN60 on. I want to fish the willow bank, but I see something like this where there's a root ball sitting out of the bank. I'll quickly chuck a couple of divers and a couple of TN60s in there. You don't have to use the lures that I'm specifying, like the TN60s or whatever. That's just what I use. So couple of divers. If that's not working, I'll try a couple of TN60s. Make sure I cover that whole root ball in there. All around here, down the trunk of the tree. I'll make sure that I really pepper that before I go anywhere else. So if I come around the corner here as well, you won't be able to see it on camera, but just in that section there from the tree trunk there, or the root ball, whatever you want to call it, you've got that, you've got a log coming out on probably a 45. There's actually a root that goes across underneath, submerged under the water. I will literally cast that probably 5 or 6 times in and around that area, and I'll slowly just work my way around. Doesn't matter which way you work your way around, but you will be able to see where the root balls are in the water, as long as they're just on top. If they're sitting down at the bottom, obviously you won't see them. Cover that whole area before you go anywhere else. Coming into the willows now. This is a thick willow area, so starting just here where you can see this undercover cast, I'll put an undercast in, or a side cast, whatever you might want to call it. This is where I'll use my small chatterbaits and my spinner baits. Fill that whole area. Make sure you get about 3 or 4 casts in there at least. Usually if there is a yellow belly sitting in any of these areas, they will 8 times out of 10, I'm not going to say 9 times because that's a bit silly, but 8 times out of 10 they'll come out, and as long as you present that bait properly, they'll come out and hit that lure. Spinner baits all through here, this kind of area here, you'll have submerged logs in the willows. So when you do, you will feel them under the water. Just let them roll over the logs under the water and continue your action. Don't try and reef the spinner bait or the chatterbait out of there. Just let it roll over the log and continue on with what you were doing with the slow roll back. I'll just cover one more part with the willows, guys. This has actually been a pretty good area to do this bit. So I'm not actually having much of a fish today. This trip was specifically set out for you guys with what we were talking about last night. For anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, me, Dale Nichols and Joe Razook run a Facebook page called Fishing the Albury Area. Currently we have 1,400 members roughly. Really good page, family friendly, and we really strive to keep that positive attitude amongst each other. So if there's something we don't agree on, it's not about attacking that person. If it's something that we think that's wrong, it's about educating and making sure that they know for next time, in a polite manner, that there is a better way to handle that situation. So we know that we don't fish for cod in the winter, in the off season, sorry, not in the winter. In the off season, from October till December, we're coming up to cod season now. We don't use cheese, anything like that. Known cod baits, so large yabbies we don't use. Your cheeses, anything over a 90mm lure, we do not use. And just make sure when you're fishing for yellow bellies, we're keeping to the smaller hooks. We're not going over to your 1/0 circle hooks, your 2, 3, 4s and stuff like that. We're keeping to the smaller hooks. So with this area here again, I would actually throw a couple. I wouldn't throw. So we've still got the willows here, but we've also got a lot of structure. So in there we've got a lot of log jam. You've still got your steep bank here. This is still 2.8 meters in this area here. So up in there it's going to be round about in between your 1.4 to 1.5 going down into a bank to a steep section. Your natives are going to hang around again in the willows, looking out, or in your log jam hiding from other predators. And looking for bait fish. So in here I'll be throwing a couple of divers in. I wouldn't worry about the TN60s because there is a lot of underwater structure in this kind of area. So like I said, the long jam is over there. You will get snagged up over there with a vibe. Trying to bring that vibe back, you'll just have no chance. If you are using your assist hooks as opposed to using trebs, you might get away with it in there. This is, like I said again, guys, this is just the way that I would fish an area. This is not how you have to fish an area. I'm just giving you ideas, giving new people to the fishing industry ideas on the way that I approach different structures. So yeah, so I'll throw my divers into that area there. Three or four quick cranks, get it right down as quick as you can, and slow rolling at a steady pace back so that your lure's not floating back to the surface, and you're not also going too fast for that fish to catch that lure. So I hope this is helping, guys. Like, this is my first time doing this, so I hope it's helping. It's not going to help everybody because there are, like I say, there are a lot of people out there that do fish a lot better than I do. In saying that, this is just, yeah, like I say, to show you. I know I've said it before, I've harped on it. It's just to show you what I do. So, alright, we'll move on. So, coming up to your sooty tops. So, anything with debris that is stuck in a backwash or stuck on a tree that's just built up, this is the area that I would stick to using my spinnerbait, chatterbait and my vibes. Maybe I would in certain situations throw divers around, but coming out of this soot here, the fish are gonna be sitting right in there. So we want to be able to get casts in, and straight away those casts need to have the lure sink straight to the bottom without you retrieving it all. Just to get it so we can cover the whole soot area coming back towards your boat. These areas are really good. A lot of people will go past them without fishing them. The fact is that fish will hold in these areas generally. For one, that is a lot of shade cover, and two, there is snags and logs under there for fish to hide. Again, we're making sure that we're starting at the bank, working our way out to the edge of the soot each side, and we're making sure we're covering that whole basis. Again, if you go and you are sitting directly looking at the soot, there's a better soot line down there, it would have been better, but if you're looking directly at the soot and you've thrown 5 or 6 casts at that soot and not had anything come out or whatever, go parallel with it. Make sure you're parallel with the edge of the soot. Throw something in there, make it get to the bottom, and then slowly bring that lure back past. If there is a fish in there and it is active, it will come out and take that lure. It's just a patience game, guys. Like when I first started lure fishing, I've said to people, I went 2 years without catching a fish on lures. I gave up, went back to bait, and then I went out with a bloke that all he does is primarily lure fish, and caught my first Murray cod. Once I'd caught my first Murray cod, I'd got the bug, so to speak. So after then, I just literally went out, and it still took 2 or 3 times by myself before I realised what I was doing wrong. But all I would do is I would refuse to take bait out and make sure I use my lures, because I've spent a lot of money on lures, and the only time I'd caught fish on them was by trawling, and I wanted to stop that. I wanted to be able to have a bit of fun flicking around into my structures and actually feeling the hit. Once you feel that hit, you will get a bug, and it is very addictive. So again, coming down, so you fish that there, soot line there, come down, fish that one there as well. There will be a lot of underwater snags, so just be mindful. If you do get a snag, again, I cannot stress it enough, do not reef that lure. You will be able to tell the difference 9 times out of 10 between a fish striking your lure and you snagging up. There is that time where, for some unknown reason, I don't know what it is, whether it's just a flexi stick or tree branch or whatever it may be, where you will get that snag and you will strike because you think that within that split second of you getting that snag, your brain will register for some unknown reason that you've got a fish and you will strike. Mate, if you've got people on the boat, you absolutely look stupid when you've got to move the boat over just to get that lure off. It is quite funny. Alright, so just be mindful, guys, that this is a patience game. Lure fishing is a patience game. You're not going to go out every session and catch fish. It just does not happen with lures. You can go out and use cheese, and a lot of the time you will catch cod. Cheese is an oily bait. Cheese lets off a lot of scent. This is why cod do get attracted to it so much. With lure fishing, it's a completely different game. Lure fishing is about a mind game between you and the fish. And if you've got the patience to throw lures around, cast for 3 hours without getting fish, and then bang, yellow belly turn on for 3 hours, like, you know what I mean? Not so much 3 hours, but they will turn on for a period of time, but then also they will turn off just like that. So once you do find that bite, do not stop fishing, just keep casting in, casting in, casting in. And a lot of the time when you're fishing for yellow belly in the rivers or in the dams, they will school up. So if you've got an area like this here where it's opened up and there's a lot of snag coverage and stuff like that, you will get 2 or 3, maybe 4 fish out of a hole when you're fishing for yellow belly. Your smaller cod as well, you will find that when you're using baits, you will catch multiple smaller cod out of one snag. The same does go with Murray cod. When they are small, they're not territorial to the point where they won't let other cod into their spot. If there is a big Murray cod around, you can bet your dollar that there's no smaller cod. There's no yellow belly within 5-10 meters of it. It will make sure that everything is out of its zone. It's basically like a robber coming into your house. You wouldn't let a robber come into your house if you knew he was in there. You wouldn't be making him a cup of tea. So that's the soot areas, guys. I hope this is helping. I hope I'm not making a fool of myself while doing this, but like I said again, this is just what I do, the way I fish things. So now we've come to a fallen tree. This is a fairly big one, so this is probably a good one to use. So when I'm looking for falling trees, I'm not looking for that fast flowing current that's going straight past the willow. So if you come, I'll try and get into it if I can. Like I said, guys, this wind is pretty bad today, so I hope you can hear me, but I apologise if you can't. I'll have to do it again if you can't do it. Hear me? Alright. So you've got this big fallen red gum that's just come straight down into the water. Looks like it's been here for a fair while. Now looking at this red gum, I can see that this branch here is actually a branch that forks off from another branch that goes down. So you've got your two branches you'll have. If I went over that with the down scan, I'd be able to see what it actually looks like under there. On this side here, so you've got a backwash that goes into the bank, and it comes out about 2 to 3 meters off the bank. And just where my boat is now is where the current starts running again. Starts running fairly quick. We want to throw a couple of casts, whether you use spinner baits, whether you use divers, whether you use TN60s. This area here is actually a really good area for being versatile with your lures. When you're throwing at them, make sure we're getting our lures again right up against the bank. The way that I fish for yellow belly is the exact way that I will fish for Murray cod, but I will just fish different structures for Murray cod. Different structures, different lures. Obviously I use my bigger lures like my AC Invaders, like my 120 mil, 130 mil Miller divers and stuff like that, your big stump jumpers, everything. All those bigger presentations, depending on what kind of fish you're going for. If you literally want quantity over quality, you're going to use your smaller lures still, because a lot of your little Murray cod will be sitting in sections like this over summer. So little Murray cod obviously are going to take your little lures. They will also attack your bigger lures. So, like I said, if you're going for quality, you want to use your bigger lures. If you're going for quantity, you use your smaller lures. You will also get follows, and you will also get hits on your little lures by your bigger Murray cod. Even your yellow belly. I have had yellow belly hit an AC Invader that's over 100 mil long. I also know other people that have caught yellow belly on invaders that are just massive for the fish. Western Percy the perches, I've seen yellow belly being caught on those. Jackal gantrels, I've seen yellow belly being caught on those. So just because you go and stick a bigger lure on does not mean that your smaller fish are not going to hit them. So getting back to where I was at then, with this log jam, make sure you're throwing casts along this tree. Make sure you're getting them in there. Start at the bank, work your way along. If that does not work, once you cover that whole tree, move your boat, move your kayak, do whatever. Throw 2 or 3 casts along the tree, right? So you'll find that a lot of fish will actually attack them if you cover more ground along the tree. You might be, like I said, it only takes 30 centimeters to be away from that where that fish is sitting, and it will not attack your lure. You literally need it to run straight past its nose. So unless the lure makes a lot of noise, like your surface lures and things with big rattles in it, they go brop 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 or rattle rattle rattle. If you're using a timber lure that hasn't got a rattle in it, the vibrations will attract the fish, but you'll get so many more strikes if you run that lure past its nose, obviously. So after I fish this side, I will literally situate my boat around the other side of the log, moving the boat around, and then at this point in time, while I'm moving my boat, I'm actually scanning the area to see if I can find any more snags after this log. Like down there straight away, bang, I found another tree that's fallen in to the water. I can see that it's got a lot more snags in it. It's got a lot more branches hanging off it. This one here probably does have a lot of snags hanging off it, but I just cannot see it because they're all submerged. So coming around the other side of the tree now, again, submerged logs, you need to watch that too, because as you all know, I'm prone to falling out of the boat, and I'm prone also to losing very expensive fishing rods. So always keeping your wits about you, unlike myself, giving people a good laugh. So even here, like I am literally right next to the bank, I can see that there's root systems that go straight across here. Those type of areas there are going to be holding your fish. You will find your fish holding along here. So even if you're fishing off the bank, one thing that I can't harp enough is you do not cast into the middle of the river. The fish are not sitting in the middle of the river. If you're casting out there, 9 times out of 10, your hits, your strikes will come within 5 metres of the bank. And you sit there and go, oh, he must have followed it from a long way. No, no, no. What happens is there's submerged snags, and you've run that lure past that fish outside that current. So that fish isn't going to live inside the current. It's just way too strong for them. They just won't survive. Going over to this side of the log, guys, like I said, this is still 2.3 metres here. I'm right next to the bank. Throw your lures, probably about 4 casts, one up against the bank, one right to the left, about 30 centimetres, another 30 centimetres. And I've got a whole heap of ghosts yelling. I thought they were people. Yeah, and just make sure you work your way along that log, coming back towards you. So that's the log jam there's covered there, guys. This last one here, guys, that I've got for you today, I'm down in West Albury, and there's not a lot of things that you can really show. It's pretty much all the same structure, so to speak. So this last one that I've got for you here, this is 4.3 metres now. When you've got your rock banks like this here, I've also got a bit of soot here, which is good. So I've got multiple structures here. I really could have made this video all here. I have soot, I have fallen trees, I've got rocks, and just around the corner there I've actually got a clay bank as well, a steep clay bank. So here, like I said, I'm not here to catch fish today. I'm just here to do this little tutorial, so to speak, for you. So with the rock banks, again, your spinnerbaits, your divers will, I have a lot of success with divers along these rock banks. Your TNs or your vibes or whatever you want to use, your fish traps, whatever it may be. Spinnerbaits, basically every lure in your arsenal will work in this rock area. So these rocky areas, fish, the yellow belly especially love. Yellow belly have always loved rocky areas, big steep clay banks and stuff like that. I don't know what it is about them. If anybody knows, let me know. I just assume that's because that they hold a lot of bait fish in the cracks and the crevices. But yeah, again, use every single bit of arsenal that you have to pull that fish out of that structure. So this wind is really bad. This is why I'm not fishing today. Over, see how it curves in the middle there? You have that curve. I would start there. That's me personally. I start in the middle, work my way to the left, and the reason I work my way to the left, and it's no reason at all, it's kind of pity, I work my way to the left because I'm left-handed. I will then move back to the right, and I'll go and fish that whole structure over there. Once I fish this rock structure here, I will not go to another spot. I'll just move down, keep moving down. All those snags down there, all the trees and whatever, twigs and sticks and bark and whatever else may be in that water down there, that is all prime habitat. A lot of things that I used to do and people still do when they're starting out fishing, they will go past the spot, it's only rocks, it'll be right. Not that specifically, but a lot of people look at something and they don't quite like the look of it. Soot's a good one. I used to walk past soot, never used to fish it at all, because I used to always get my lures stuck in there, and that was user error. That's the way I was fishing it. What I was trying to fish it with was just not right. So I just kept walking and didn't touch them. Little did I know, I have now caught a fair few fish out of soot. My fair share at least. So like I say, again, every 30 centimeters, guys. Put your cast in, bring it back, slow retrieve, slow roll. And don't go pumping your reel, trying to get your lure moving in a fast action. It just will not work. So we want to get it down really quickly. I'll just do a quick cast. So that lure's over there. Get your lure down really quickly if it wants to dive. And then you just want to bring that slowly back like that. Just a nice slow retrieve. Even a couple of twitches if you want. So make sure we're getting it right up against the bank, guys. We don't want to be 30 centimeters away from the bank. We don't want to be a meter away from the bank. If you do cast back from the bank, don't rip it back in. Still get that lure down, because you never know what might be sitting that little bit further out away from the bank. Alright, so like I say, guys, that's pretty much all I've got for you, and that's just what I do. Don't take it as gospel, because it's not. There is a lot of people, again, I will tell you now, there is a lot of people out there that fish a lot better than I do, have a lot more success than I do. This is just what works for me. And I can't harp on it enough. While I was selling raffle tickets yesterday for the raffle for the fishing page yesterday, I had a bloke telling me that he just couldn't afford bait casters. He couldn't see the point in going and buying a bait caster when the egg beater does the same job for him. That's exactly right, guys. If you are more comfortable using a certain rod or a certain price range, you could go and get a rod from Kmart and it is going to do the exact same job as what this rod here is going to do. Right, so a Kmart rod, again, it's not going to be the quality, and we know that. It's not going to be as smooth, we know that. But if you're comfortable every 12 months going out and buying another rod for $50, $60, by all means, it does not mean you cannot fish. It does not mean you will not catch fish. It just means that that's what you feel comfortable with, and you don't feel comfortable with going and spending the dollars on rods and reel setups that others might. I go and buy more expensive stuff because I fish a lot. It is my hobby. Outside of work, outside of looking after my children, what I do is fish. I substituted cricket and rugby league for fishing. So it's just what I like to do, guys. So this is why I do spend the money on it. You don't have to spend the money on it. It does not mean that you are a worse off fisherman than the next person over with the $30,000, $40,000 boat and the $2,000 rods or whatever it may be. You will still catch the same amount of fish using the same techniques, using the same slow roll with your reeling as what a person will down there with the more expensive gear. So, hope this has helped you out, guys. I really do appreciate everybody watching my videos. I do it because I'm starting to get a fair few views, and a lot of people are actually starting to inbox me asking me for more videos. So obviously people are enjoying it. Just make sure you press subscribe on my YouTube, guys, and thank you.